Hi everyone, welcome to a new video. Today I want to record my reading of Bloodmarked, which is the second one in the Legendborn series, but I will also be reading The Atlas Paradox, which is the second one of the Atlas 6 series, which are both kind of dark academia-esque books. I say esque because Legendborn is the first one specifically is set at a university, and there is death involved quite heavily in the story, but there's not really the classic things present in dark academia like grey characters, maybe abusive relationships, or at least not very healthy relationships, which I actually appreciate because it doesn't fully fit the genre, but it makes it's a more healthy version of the genre. But yeah, so I have just done a reread of the Legendborn, which is the first book in the Legendborn series that I have read. I read it almost 2 years ago in January 2021. And I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. But it had been more than a year and a half since I read it, and so I decided to reread it before Bloodmarked came out. And so that's what I've done. I have finished it a couple days ago, and I did start Bloodmarked already because I couldn't wait. I'm sorry. I love this series, and it was the end of the day. It was all dark, and so I just went in and started it. It's a story about a young girl who she's 16 years old. She has just lost her mother, and she had applied to go to Carolina University. I never remember if it's South or North, but she had applied to this kind of high school program for brilliant kids to go to university early. Her mother wasn't very happy about her applying to this course, but after her mother dies, she ends up going because she's just not happy at home, and her best friend had applied as well and she's going, so her father decides that she can go as well. And we meet her on her first night in this new program. She has just arrived at this campus and with her best friend, and they go to this party, and there she sees a weird magical attack that she doesn't really understand, and no one seems to remember or have even seen it, apart from the 2 people fighting this magical thing that attacked the students. She is confused why she can see this. She then gets involved into another attack and gets involved with this secret society that she didn't know existed, but apparently they can also see these monsters and they're fighting the monsters. So she wants to know what happened, and it's a really good book. This was a very long explanation, but I think it does deserve it. And this secret society, before I finish, this is the key part that really caught my attention and that I really loved about it. The majority of them, the more important ones, they're all descendants from King Arthur and the Round Table, and they fight this holy war against these demons. That's the society she gets involved in, and that is very exciting. She then discovers she has her own magic, and we follow her discovery of this and being embroiled in this new world for her. All of the elements, characters, plot, even tropes, all very well done. It talks a lot about Black history in the South of America. The topics mentioned are amazing and very well handled. It deals with grief a lot, and I thought that was very well handled as well. It's a very complete book. It has everything. So now, moving on to the second book. I was a bit scared. I was very curious, and I really wanted to love it as much as the first one. I have started it, as I said, but I'm not even halfway through. I'm a few chapters into it. It's a bit confusing because this secret society I was mentioning has slightly confusing structure, but very helpfully there's kind of like a map at the start of the second book. But yeah, so right here you have a little structure. I am enjoying it. I feel like maybe not as much for now as the first one. There were some deaths at the end of the first book, and now we are dealing with that and the consequences of what happened at the end of the first book. We're starting out, but we are exploring the same issues that we were exploring before, which is great. We're just continuing and getting deeper, and hopefully it will be as good as the first one. I'm really hoping it's going to be as good, or maybe even better, but obviously it could fall into the second book syndrome, but hopefully not. Tracy Deonn did a very good thing of setting up the continuation of the plot. From the end of the first book, you kind of knew that they would be going on a journey on the second one because of something that happened at the end of the first one. I'm excited for that. I hope it still continues to be set at the university, but we'll have to see. Now, moving on to the second book I'm going to be reading, which is The Atlas Paradox. Obviously, I assume everyone here knows the Atlas 6, because it's been very, very popular. It's about a secret society, the Alexandrian Society, which is connected to the Alexandrian Library. It's a kind of alternate history situation where when the Alexandrian Library burned down, it didn't actually burn down, it burned down to protect itself, and it became a secret magical library. And so we are now moving forward to nowadays. Every 10 years, there's a new initiate group of people that become initiates at this society, and they research for 2 years. At the end of the first one of the people is eliminated from the library, eliminated from this society, and they then continue to a second year of research. And then at the end of that, the 5 people instead of 6 get initiated, and they can continue to research at the library or go back into the world. They can do whatever they want. The majority of them become rich in whatever field they decide to go into. But we are now getting to the second book. Each book spans a year. So the first one was the first year of this new group of initiates, and now we're getting to the second year. I don't really want to give spoilers again, and so I'm not going to tell you what happened in the first book, which will make it very difficult to talk about this one. But obviously something relatively big happened at the end of the first book, and now we're getting to follow the characters again. The first one was mostly, just to give you a bit of my thoughts, the first one was mostly about the characters meeting and their relationships following from there throughout the first year. They also follow their research a bit. They also follow a couple of other characters that are involved in the story, but they're not initiates. I think I haven't mentioned actually, but if you do know Atlas 6, you definitely know that there's magic involved, and these 6 individuals are the top of the magical people around their age in the world. The Alexandrian Society only chooses the best of the best. So with that come, egos and trauma, all of these things that are explored in the first book, which I really enjoyed. And the atmosphere is really good as well. It's mostly spent in this manor house where the Alexandrian Society is based. And so it has this kind of dark, gloomy, old-time feel to it with modern characters and modern amenities. But yeah, it's really good. I really enjoyed it. But moving on to the Atlas Paradox, I have also started it. I am reading it on Audible, but I do have the physical copy. Actually, I have the Waterstones special edition, which is very beautiful with these sprayed edges. And then you have these beautiful end papers. Let's show you the other one. And it's signed. I went to a signing. Olivie Blake came to Norwich in her UK tour. She went to London and Norwich only, and I obviously snatched up the ticket to go listen to her talk about her new book and obviously do a signing afterwards. It was very good. I really enjoyed it, and ironically, or not ironically because I knew I was going to get this, I got a signed book. And then she signed it again, but obviously personalized this time. And I have some rather sad news, in case you didn't know. But the third book I think it's only coming out in 2024. She has written it already, but now it needs to go through the whole process like it would normally, which means it's gonna take at least a year to publish it. And that will make it to 2024, unfortunately for us. Sorry, my camera battery died. But yes, so I have also, as I was saying, started this book. We had a little bit of introduction, a little bit of a taste of what's to come, but also we're just going through their initiation ceremony before the book actually starts, even though this start is quite spicy already. I feel like this is gonna be where relationships start to change, because obviously they built their relationships in the first book, and I think this initiation ceremony is really gonna change the dynamic a bit and start us on the second part of this journey, which I'm very excited about. But to finish up this ginormous introduction to this video, I want to tell you that I'll be going to Cambridge in 2 days. And I thought this would be the perfect time to do kind of a dark academia kind of vlog, because obviously Cambridge is full of colleges. And I'm reading 2 books that are set in academic settings. And so I thought it would be perfect to do a little tour of some colleges in Cambridge. I've been to Cambridge multiple times, but I didn't really visit many colleges. I've been to the museums, I've been to bookstores, I've done a bookstore tour of Cambridge, I visited cafes and shops, but I haven't actually went to see many colleges. Hi, so tomorrow we're going to Cambridge, and so I decided to come in today and tell you a bit about where I am with the books. Things are happening with Bloodmarked. I feel like this book just started straight into action, and I don't know if it's ever gonna stop. I was expecting it to go directly into action, but not what's happening. So now that kind of disrupted all of my thoughts on what was going to be happening throughout this book. And now I'm just not sure. Something dramatic has happened, and our main character, which I don't think I've even told you her name. Her name is Bree, and Bree is in a sticky situation right now. I was not expecting it. It came a bit out of nowhere, but actually it makes total sense. I'm now curious about what else is going to be happening in this book. This kind of changed the dynamic a bit, and I'm actually quite excited to see how it's going to evolve. Let's move on to the Atlas Paradox. I've read a couple of chapters after the initiation ceremony. Obviously, you have to go through the span of a year in 400 and something pages, which means there are going to be jumps. But I feel like you have bigger chapters in like talking about smaller bits of time, and then you have a massive jump, instead of, I feel like the last book was a little bit more uniform. But obviously I'm still in the beginning. I'm maybe a third of the way through. I think this is jumping more than I was expecting, and Bloodmarked has just thrown all of my... But yeah, this was kind of just a small check-in, just to tell you where I am and how I'm doing, and preparing you for our trip to Cambridge tomorrow, which I'm very excited, and I hope it's not going to be raining because it's been raining basically every day, but I'm not hopeful it's going to be a bright sunny day. So we'll just have to make do, and I feel like the gloomy atmosphere adds to the Dark Academia vibes either way. So let's think positively. I'll see you tomorrow in Cambridge, and probably the next day back here with another update. Hi, so it's the next day from Cambridge, our Cambridge trip. Yesterday, I ended up mostly reading Atlas 6 on the train there and back, and I did sit down to read a bit of Bloodmarked, but not that much, just for 10 minutes here and there in a few places we sat at. The Atlas Paradox is picking up. I'm on page 168. Just before we start the 5th part. What? That's a lot of parts. Apparently there are a lot of parts in this book. I'm not even halfway through and we are already in part 5, which is duality. I'm really enjoying it. I think I was proven right on the fact that after the initiation ceremony, the dynamics would change a bit. It definitely has happened, and I feel like it's starting to pick up. It's a little bit like it was before, where you're literally just following these people's lives and these people's lives and their conversations with each other, how things are going with their studies. You are also following a couple of perspectives that are outside of the society, which didn't really happen in the last book. I'm a fan of a character-led story, so really getting to know all of the mysteries and all of the thoughts and why and how people behave. It's quite interesting. And maybe it's because I've only really read mostly YA books, but even getting to know all of the insights into these characters, I'm still a bit confused on why they do certain things. Because Olivie Blake she's really good at giving you a lot of information about what they think, especially about other characters, but letting you understand the characters by yourself as well. In this book, you have this urgent thing, and I feel like it's really not going to be resolved very quickly. It's going to take the whole year or the whole of this book to actually figure it out. And I think characters are going to be changed by that. I'm excited to continue. I think this is very good. I'm actually preferring this book to the first one at this point because I feel like we know a bit more. We have met these characters and they are great characters. You need a bit of time to adapt to them and to create your own relationship with these characters. As I said, 168 pages, so right before starting part 5, which was actually why I'm doing this catch-up now, because I got to that point yesterday evening, and so I changed back. I decided to stop and change back to Bloodmarked. I'm in chapter 20, so I am around 34% into this book at page 192, chapter 20. And they have just got out of this sticky situation they were in. And I'm very happy. I'm curious to know what else is going to happen. I don't have much to say because I haven't read that much. But also because I just want to read it. I just want to continue reading and know what is going to happen. It's all a bunch of question marks. And I want to sit down, get to it, figure it out, read it all. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I was just thinking about this. I feel like I'm not going to end up filming that much, myself making tea or making dinner, because let's be honest, these books, I have a lot to say about them and they're quite big books. It's probably the majority of this video is just going to be me talking about it. And I hope you're ready for that. If you're not, thank you very much for being here. And see you tomorrow. Welcome to the end of the vlog. So I'm filming this actually a month after the last clip. I initially started this vlog and we went to Cambridge at the end of November of 2022. But then Christmas started and I pivoted to creating more Christmas content. And the stress of the, holiday season, unfortunately, made it that I couldn't finish this vlog. So we're now in January and I have finished both of these books. I finished them at the beginning of December and they were both part of my favorites video of 2022. So I really wanted to finish this vlog, not only so you could see my reading experience and my thoughts throughout this process, but also I didn't want to scrap all of the footage that I took in Cambridge. So I hope you're not mad about that. and I hope that you enjoyed all of the footage up until now. I just decided to sit down to wrap all of my thoughts, tell you what I thought about these books, and end this video. Atlas Paradox. I really, really enjoy that book. I gave it 5 stars. I think that this book did a really good job of keeping all of the good things from Atlas 6, but just making it even more exciting. And I couldn't really put it down. It was a really big book. Both of the books from this vlog were really big books. It took me at least a whole week to read them both, but I really, really love them both. And I'm really grateful that I took the time to read these 2 books. Now, moving on to Bloodmarked. I didn't enjoy this one as much as the first book. The last time I updated you, I was around the 1/3 of the way through, I think. But Bloodmarked was very intense. It was non-stop action. So it ended up being a kind of road trip style book. They would go from one scary situation to another scary situation. I love this book. I gave this book 4.5 stars. But the only problem I have with it, which is why it's not a 5 stars, is that at some point throughout the book, I stopped caring about these scary situations because I knew that the majority of these characters that I love would make it through. There's going to be a 3rd book at least. There's going to be at least one more book. So I knew they were going to make it through, or the majority of them were going to make it through. Characters still amazing. We got to develop relationships that I wasn't expecting and that I loved. The friendships, the romance, it was just all so amazing. The plot is the only part that I didn't love completely. To talk about heritage and race and their place in the world, the self-development that happened in this book, it's all just so good. One of the things that was very exciting about both of these books, not only the writing is amazing, but I think both authors did such a great job at creating a explosive ending that just makes you want to read the 3rd book immediately. Both endings were the Atlas Paradox wasn't as explosive as Bloodmarked, but both really opened up so many possibilities and you just want to know what is going to be happening. So explosive endings is another check on the list. Plot, another check on the list. Characters, the biggest check. I have to say it continues to be my favorite YA series that I think I've ever read. But yeah, obviously Harry Potter can't be beaten, but I would say this is my favorite series that came out recently and it's still coming out. Both of these series are super solid that I would highly recommend you try out. So yeah, just go read them. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're not annoyed that this vlog has come out really, really late. I hope it was still worth it and that you enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support in all of my social medias. And please like, share, comment, all of those things that you have to do on YouTube. And I hope to see you here next time. Thank you so much. Bye.